figure out how to put a standard signature at the end of my emails. You might be able to do that for me and teach me.
I would be happy. I would be happy to do that.
Here we got a collateral benefit.
Perhaps.
I'd be happy to help all of you.
Like I said, like the chapter one email, elected and appointed officials, all us elected officials have email account. The municipal judge uses his personal email, and I'm just a little concerned about personal email.
Does he use his personal email?
We do not have a village email, I don't believe, for the municipal judge.
Do you want, and I love these
No.
questions, this is
No, I
perfect.
understand.
But do you want to run through your PowerPoint?
Yeah, are there any other general questions? Otherwise, I'd be happy to do that.
Because you
I
made
I have questions, but I can hold them until I.
Is running through the PowerPoint going to go over this section?
It's just a 6-slide presentation that will kind of outline and provide a general big picture summary for you.
This would be nice.
Okay. So I have it prepared.
Go for it.
All right. I think Becky summarized the purpose really well. I have the 3 bullets, or the 3 in the memo, the 3 items and why we're doing it. I'm not going to read it to you. You can read that. But that's the general reason why we're doing what we're doing. Knowing that the timeline may be extended a little bit, instead of using dates, I use phases. And if you look at the table of contents, which I did provide in the document for you, you can see the different chapters that we've outlined. In the end, this whole, all these chapters will be in one policy. It'll be, 15 or so different sections in a policy. But instead of, as Becky mentioned, going through all that at once, we're going to do it in phases for you, okay? So tonight's phase is just talking about email, website, letters, and memos. We wanted to start with hopefully a little bit of an easier topic so you can kind of get a flow, an idea of how these will go. But as you can see, as we move through the other phases, we're going to get into some tougher issues that, it's going to probably require a little bit more time as far as, not just me presenting and going through, but an understanding, and I'm going to need some help defining things because as I write it, made sense to me. It may make sense to staff. I have all staff review this before it comes to the board, but may not sense to a public perspective, and we want to make sure that it does as well, since there will be officials that are under this policy too. So that's kind of the 5 different phases and that we'll be going through. And so let's start with the email policy. Chapter 1. So this is a 4-page policy that goes through emails. We use the section A as far as who gets a village email and outline who does, who doesn't. Right now, as your question, Trustee Maher, the municipal judge as well as our election inspectors do not receive a village email account. So that's what our current procedure has been based on past precedent. But like I said, that's why we're putting all this in front of you today for your review and feedback. I'll just go through just email. I'll stop at the end of email. We can just handle it by chapter, okay? Section B takes a look at standard format of emails. So you can see this is a standard format that you can program in your email. I think typically most people do this as far as village employees. But this is just something that we want as a standard format, so that all employees, have a professional tone to their emails. And this is right now, as you can see, it's for employees. So as an elected official, this would not be something that you would have to do, but this is what an employee would have to do. And then the police and library would just have to make the change to their logos.
Tyler, can I just ask, does this get programmed when you're hired? I mean, like, do you do it? Does someone at the village do it? I'm just questioning because of this.
What we would do with a new hire, I would not do this for everyone.
Okay.
But I do an orientation for all employees where I go through benefits and other things that they need to know. This document in the end would be something that I would give them and they will sign and agree to. And there's gonna be, I'll probably put together a cheat sheet of here are the things that you need to do in this. And I'd probably follow up with the employee to make sure that would be.
I'm just wondering if there's an efficient way to do it, because it seemed wonky, the IT, it just odd, there's a way to do it so that you're not relying on each employee to remember to do it. And
I could ask our IT tech that if they would be able to do it. You're right, that would be a more efficient approach.
Is it-
I just don't know if they can do that or not.
That'd be
I
great.
can ask. Yeah. Section C looks at email content. So, making a comment that, encouraging employees that within 24 hours of returning to the office if they're away, providing a response. I think that's just a good customer service practice. We have a list of inappropriate content that, will give us some guidance when it comes to discipline. If we were to see any of these done or performed, just requiring an out-of-office message, which is already part of our HR manual, this is just being reiterated in this policy. And then section 3 and 4, this is not outlined at all anywhere right now, and I think this has been something that has been a question by both board members and staff. So I decided let's put something on paper and get a reaction to. And, but I have some outlined parameters here as far as when village employees are emailing board members and vice versa. So this has a direct impact with you. I'll go through these bullet points individually. So for section.
I just have a question before you get to the, so when you say it's duplicated in the human resource manual, is that, I'm just thinking ahead, then you have to, I remember you always saying duplicate and have to change it in 2 places and keep it consistent.
This is more actually specific language than, all we say is that you have to have an away message in the HR manual.
Okay.
This we actually put like a 8-hour time span with. Yeah, okay. So if you read section 3 here, it says village employees sending emails to village board officials must follow the following guidelines. If the email is in response to requested information or information involving a current or future board issue, the village board and the village manager, or remember, we're not just talking that there might be, actually this is village board officials, but there's a staff liaison involved, or if another staff person involved with that subject matter, that they should be copied on the message. If the email is not in response to requested information or information involving a current or future board issue, village staff can respond directly to the official without copying any other individual. So let's say you just wanted to set up like a meeting with so-and-so, obviously staff wouldn't need to copy the full board on that.
Can you clarify, are we going along or do you want to finish?
I just want to finish 3 and 4, and then if I could just do those and then questions, I think that would be best. And then this last part, if village staff, and I have this for both 3 and 4, if village staff is hoping to receive a response prior to a meeting, the email shall be sent at least 24 hours prior to the start of the meeting. That same expectation you're going to see in number 4, it's just written as if an official is hoping to receive a response prior to a meeting, the email shall be sent at least 24 hours prior to the start. So that's just kind of the similar expectations for both staff as well as the board. Before a meeting, review material, and I think getting questions in advance, staff love that. It allows us some time to prepare for that. But we just want to make sure that, we have enough notice or time to do that. If I could just read number 4 real quickly, and then I'd be happy to answer questions. When village trustees send emails to village employees, they must do the following. Just copy the manager. We want to make sure that, Becky is in the know. Do not copy any other board, commission, or committee members that would create a walking quorum or violate open meetings law. And then the last one is send a response from the village Shorewood email account. So I know some trustees, sometimes will have a private email account as well. This is just encouraging you that if you're doing village communication, to use your village Shorewood email account. That just is making sure that we have a record of that public, or that public record, that if we have an open records request, that we can use your village of Shorewood email to do that. Okay.
This this says if a village official emails a village board in response to requesting information,
If a what?
Which bullet?
if I send,
Hold on, great.
You're on 3?
number 3, this says if, I can't separate the two.
I can't either.
We have, I think there's a problem here. 4 says if I'm sending a question to you, Tyler, I send it to you, and not to the rest of the board, because we don't want to walk in quorum. But then 3 says if you're responding to me, you have to respond to the whole board.
Staff can respond to the whole.
Because we're providing you information as a board. So let's say, basically that's saying, let's say you send me an inquiry. You just send it to me, right?
Right.
You're requesting information. You want to know more about Lake Drive tonight.
Yeah.
So in my response, what this is saying is when I respond to you, I'm copying the whole board because I want to give you all the same information at the same time.
Are you taking his original question out? Because otherwise you're just, what's the purpose? Do you just be responding and not, I mean, his question, how do you respond with the information when, you're gonna rephrase the question, I've seen Rebecca do this, I'm just clarifying to make sure this is what it means. I get what trustees are saying.
He can send the original email. I
Number
mean, I guess my,
Yeah, so if Paul sends me an email and I think, oh gosh, the whole board needs to see this, what then I do this kind of with you guys all the time. You know, then I'm gonna reply to you, but at the same time I reply to you, I'm gonna be putting the whole board, so it goes to the whole board. So you'll see Paul's email,
You'll see the original.
but then
email.
you're gonna see my response, and my response goes to all of you. And my expectation of you at that point is that you're not replying to all on that email.
But you understand, but that's the same thing, because if he sends the original, if you send the original question to you, he has every right to CC the entire board. We don't have a right to respond to all, but if you're just gonna forward the information with his question, what's the difference?
It's one question, it's one, he's just one member, and you don't have 2.
Somebody having a conversation with yourself. I mean, you can't, it's not, you haven't opened the dialogue and there hasn't been any deliberation. It's just if he's gonna send, if someone's gonna send information, any staff member's gonna send information to one member, what the village is saying is they'd like everybody to have it.
Well, I get that,
And
but then you know what he's
Yeah.
asking. You're getting a window into the questions that he's asking. I get what you're saying, I just want to make clear that if you're trying to avoid us knowing the question he's asking by saying, don't CC any of the other board members, that would be a walking tour.
I don't,
The only-
It's not really the question.
if it's just informational, he's just asking and it's clarifying. I mean, I think that the problem that we have gotten into in the past is someone asks a question, it's CC to the board, and then someone else says, but what about this?
And it's reply
And there's
all. You wanna
further
prevent the reply
emails,
all.
and so if there's a second email saying, but I don't understand this, and that goes to Tyler or Rebecca, and then they send out an email after that in response to the second, then that does, I think, start to become discussion, deliberation, whatever. So I think if it's just one go-round, then we have to, then the other trustees cannot respond to that. I mean, that's it.
And what if, so I just want to explore this a little bit. So I ask a question, I have to think this through, this is how I do it. So I ask a question of Becky, and it says, oh, Lake Drive's coming up tonight, I really have a concern about this, can you forward me this information? So now Becky responds with my question at the bottom to Paul. And she says, so everyone sees my concern. And now Trustee Menta replies right back to Becky, just alone, and says, well, now I have a concern about this. Now Becky forwards that out with a response to all. Now you know what 2 trustees have asked. And if we're on the same committee, you have a quorum. So I just am trying to talk through it of responding to all from staff. I get it. I just want to make sure that we're achieving what we're trying to achieve. Unless you,
Do you not want the question part of the email chain? Is that what is being asked
Usually you
upon
will
right now?
rephrase it, just say, a few trustees have asked some questions.
Yeah, like if I'm gonna, and this is just by habit, because sometimes it can just get confusing with all the traffic and the forwarding and email madness. So I'll just say, here's what I'm being asked, and here's what my response is to it. And I will keep it more generic.
I mean, I think it's a balance between being able to clarify and ask questions before a meeting versus having every question, every discussion that everyone wants to talk about in the meeting, which would make our already long meetings even longer. So, I mean, I'm okay with this, but I think we need to add something that we cannot continue to respond to that initial question.
So I could put, I think to address this, and let me know if you would concur, is under the elected or appointed officials' emails to village employees, I could add in a bullet point that says that if you have a question to staff, to start a new email message. And that would solve that problem.
But it can't be a question in response to the last question, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Nathan, do you think that would?
Yeah, we were
Suffice.
talking, I mean, I think what you're trying to distinguish between is sharing of materials or